Oma Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Trinadapi Sunichena Tarar Eva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kivalam Glo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today's class, getting us ready for the Gaur Purnima next Sunday. I'm speaking this chapter from the Caitanya Charitamrita entitled Shakshastakam. This is the final chapter of the Caitanya Charitamrita, and it is one of my favorites. We must first acknowledge the author, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. But even more importantly, we must recognize the person who translated it and distributed it in the English language, the ISKCON founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Siksastaka. Only the most fortunate will relish the mad words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were mixed with jubilation, envy, agitation, submissiveness, and grief, all produced by ecstatic loving emotions. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri, Nilachala, he was continuously overwhelmed night and day by separation from Krishna. Day and night he tasted transcendental blissful songs and verses with two associates, namely Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai. He relished the symptoms of various transcendental emotions, such as jubilation, lamentation, anger, humility, anxiety, grief, eagerness, and satisfaction. He would recite his own verses, expressing their meanings and emotions, and thus enjoy tasting them with these two friends. Sometimes the Lord would be absorbed in a particular emotion and would stay awake all night, reciting related verses and relishing their taste. In great jubilation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy, know from me that chanting the holy names is the most feasible means of salvation in this age of Kali. In this age of Kali, the process of worshiping Krishna is to perform sacrifice by chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who does so is certainly very intelligent, and he attains shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna Varnam Tvasha Krishnam Sango Pangashtra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayayar Yajanti Hi Sumedasa." In this age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, one can be freed from all undesirable habits. This is the means of awakening all good fortune and initiating the flow of waves of love for Krishna. So here is the first of the Shakshastakam prayers. Cheto darpana marjanam, bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam, sraya kairava chandrika vidaranam, vidya vadhu jivanam, anandam buddhi vardhanam, pratipadam purnam ritasvadanam, sarvatma snapanam, parang vijayate Sri Krishna sankirtanam. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables one to taste full nectar at every step. By performing congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra, one can destroy the sinful condition of material existence, purify the unclean heart, and awaken all varieties of devotional service. The result of chanting is that one awakens his love for Krishna and tastes transcendental bliss. Ultimately, one attains the association of Krishna and engages in his devotional service as if immersing himself in a great ocean of love. So one reason why I love this chapter so much is because not only are we studying the Siksastaka prayers, but Lord Caitanya himself is giving the purport. So this makes the chapter so wonderful that we're getting the direct purport from the author himself. Just as Prabhupada points out that the author of the Vedanta Sutra, Srila Vyasadeva, wrote his own commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, known as Srimad Bhagavatam. And because it is composed by the very same author, that commentary is most perfect. So just as Srimad Bhagavatam is perfect because the author himself is giving the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, this chapter is also perfect because the very author of the Siksastaka prayers is giving his purport. Let us continue. Now this is Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Lamentation and humility awoke within Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and he began reciting another of his own verses. By hearing the meaning of that verse, one can forget all unhappiness and lamentation. So this is the second of the Siksastaka, 8 prayers of instruction by Lord Caitanya. Nam Akari Bahuda Nidja Sarva Shaktis Tatrapata Niyamatak Smarane Nakala Etadrasi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrisam Ihajani Na Nuraga. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity, and therefore you have many names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested all your potencies in those names, and there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon the fallen conditioned souls by liberally teaching your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not achieve attachment for chanting. Lord Caitanya now continues with his purport. Because people vary in their desires, you have distributed various holy names by your mercy. Regardless of time or place, one who chants the holy name even while eating or sleeping attains all perfection. You have invested your full potencies in each individual holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment for chanting your holy names. Oh, Sarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Roy, hear from me the symptoms of how one should chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to awaken very easily one's dormant love for Krishna. So this is the third Shikshastaka. Trinadapi Sunichena Toror Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari. One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who does not expect personal honor, but is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. These are the symptoms of one who chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground, and like a tree, he tolerates everything in two ways. For when a tree is cut down, it does not protest. And even when drying up, it does not ask anyone for water. The tree delivers its fruits, flowers, and whatever else it possesses to anyone and everyone. It tolerates scorching heat and torrents of rain, yet it still gives shelter to others. Although the Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he is prideless and gives all respect to everyone, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna in this manner, he will certainly awaken his dormant love for Krishna's lotus feet. So now we get the words of Krishnadas Kaviraj. He now interjects. As Lord Caitanya spoke in this way, his humility increased, and he began praying to Krishna that he could discharge pure devotional service. For wherever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, its natural symptom is that the devotee does not think himself a devotee. Instead, he always thinks that he has not even a drop of love for Krishna. So now we come to the fourth of the Shakshastakam prayers. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitang va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatad bhaktir, ahoituki twayi. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service to you. My dear Lord Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, a beautiful wife, or the results of fruitive activities. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, You give me pure devotional service to you, life after life. So now, Krishnadas Kaviraj interjects. In great humility, considering himself a conditioned soul of the material world, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu again expressed his desire to be endowed with service to the Lord. So now we come to the fifth of the Shakshastakam prayers. Ayi nanda tanuja kinkaram, patitang mang vishame babam budao, kripaya tava pada pankaja, stitaduli sadrishang vichintaya. O my Lord, O Krishna, son of Maharaj Nanda, I am your eternal servant, but because of my own fruitive acts, I have fallen into this horrible ocean of nescience. Now, please be causelessly merciful to me. Consider me a particle of dust at your lotus feet. For I am your eternal servant, but I forgot your lordship. Now I have fallen into the ocean of nescience and have been conditioned by the external energy. Be causelessly merciful to me by giving me a place with the particles of dust at your lotus feet, so that I may engage in the service of your lordship as your eternal servant. Now Krishnadas Kaviraj comments. Natural humility and eagerness then awoke in Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He prayed to Krishna to be able to chant the Maha Mantra in ecstatic love. So here is the sixth Shakshastakam. Nayanangalad asru dharaya, vadanangad gadarudaya gira, pulakaya nichitang vapukada, tavanama grahane bhavisyati. My dear Lord, when will my eyes be beautified by filling with tears that constantly glide down as I chant your holy name? When will my voice falter and all the hairs on my body stand erect in transcendental happiness as I chant your holy name? Without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God. Krishnadas Kaviraj now comments. Separation from Krishna awoke various mellows of distress, lamentation, and humility. Thus, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a crazy man. So here is the seventh Shakshastakam prayer. Yugayitam nimeshena, chakshusha pravrishayitam, shunyayitam jagat sarvam, Govinda virahena me. My Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world as void. In my agitation, a day never ends, for every moment seems like a millennium. Pouring incessant tears, my eyes are like clouds in the rainy season. The three worlds have become void because of separation from Govinda. I feel as if I were burning alive in a slow fire. So now we come to the final section, the eighth of the Shakshastakam prayers. Lord Caitanya now speaks. Lord Krishna has become indifferent to me just to test my love, and my friends say, better to disregard him. So now we hear Krishnadas Kaviraj commenting on this last statement. While Srimati Radharani was thinking in this way, the characteristics of natural love became manifest because of her pure heart. The ecstatic symptoms of envy, great eagerness, humility, zeal, and supplication all became manifest at once. And in that mood, the mind of Srimati Radharani was agitated, and therefore she spoke a verse of advanced devotion to her gopi friends. In that same spirit of ecstasy, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu recited that verse, and as soon as he did so, he felt like Srimati Radharani. So here is the 8th Shakshastakam prayer. Ashlishyava padaratang pinashtumang adarshanan marmahatang kurotu va yatha tata va vidid hatu lampato mat prana natas tu saeva napadaha. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is a debauchee after all, and can do whatever he likes, but he is still no one other than the worshipable Lord of my heart. I am a maidservant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. So if he likes, he can tightly embrace me and make me feel oneness with him. Or, by not giving me his audience, he may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, it is he who is the Lord of my life. My dear friend, just hear the decision of my mind. Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions, whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. Sometimes Krishna gives up the company of other gopis and becomes controlled mind and body by me. Thus he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. Or since, after all, he is a very cunning, obstinate debauchee with a propensity to cheat, he takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs with them in front of me to give distress to my mind. Nevertheless, he is still the Lord of my life. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for the happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. However, if he feels great happiness in giving me distress, then that distress is the best of my happiness. If Krishna, attracted by the beauty of some other woman, wants to enjoy with her, but is unhappy because he cannot get her, well, I fall down at her feet, catch her hand, and bring her to Krishna to engage her for his happiness. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger towards Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied indeed. He is extremely pleased when chastised by such a gopi. She then shows her pride suitably, and Krishna enjoys that attitude. Then she gives up her pride with a little endeavor. Why does a woman continue to live who knows that Krishna's heart is unhappy, but who still shows her deep anger towards him? She is interested in her own happiness. I condemn such a woman to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt, for we simply want the happiness of Krishna. If a gopi, envious of me, satisfies Krishna and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant. For then my happiness will be awakened. The wife of a Brahmana suffering from leprosy manifested herself as the topmost of all chaste women by serving a prostitute just to satisfy her husband. She thus stopped the movement of the sun, brought her dead husband back to life, and satisfied the three principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. Krishna is my life and soul. Krishna is the treasure of my life. Indeed, Krishna is the very life of my life. I therefore keep him always in my heart and try to please him by rendering service. That is my constant meditation. My happiness is in the service of Krishna, and Krishna's happiness is in union with me. For this reason, I give my body in charity to the lotus feet of Krishna, who accepts me as his beloved one and calls me his most beloved. It is then that I consider myself his maidservant. Service to my lover is the home of happiness and is more sweet than direct union with him. The goddess of fortune is evidence of this, for although she constantly lives on the heart of Narayan, she wants to render service to his lotus feet. She therefore considers herself a maidservant and serves him constantly. So that ends Lord Chaitanya's purport to his 8 Shakshastakam prayers. It is said that Lord Chaitanya, this is the only thing Lord Chaitanya wrote. Although Lord Chaitanya was in his youth known as Nimai Pandit, and he was a great Sanskrit scholar, still, he only left us these 8 verses of instruction, Siksastaka. But everything is there in those 8 prayers. So now Krishnadas Kaviraj will finish up this chapter. These statements by Srimati Radharani show the symptoms of pure love for Krishna tasted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this final verse was not Lord Chaitanya's purport, it was Radharani's purport. In that ecstatic love, his mind was unsteady. Transformations of transcendental love spread throughout his entire body, and he could not sustain his body and mind. The pure devotional service in Vrindavan is like the golden particles in the river Jambu. In Vrindavan, there is not a trace of personal sense gratification. It is just to advertise such pure love in this material world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written the previous verse and explained its meaning. Thus, overwhelmed by ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman and recited suitable verses. The Lord had formerly composed these 8 verses to teach people in general. Now, he personally tasted the meaning of the verses, which are called Shikshashtaka. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami then ends this chapter. If anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instruction by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic love and devotion for Krishna increase day by day. So there is an expression we have, a word to the wise. So this last statement is a word to the wise. If your goal is to increase your ecstatic love and devotion to Krishna, well, here is the clue. If anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instruction, his ecstatic love for Krishna increases day by day. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'd like to go over this quote here, which I'm showing on the screen. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam, Sango Pangastra Parshadam, Yagyai Sankirtana Prayayar, Yajantihi Sume Dasa. So this quote that Lord Chaitanya used when he was giving the purport to the first Shakshastakam, this is from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Krishna Varnam, what does that mean, Krishna Varnam? That Krishna is always issuing from the mouth of Lord Chaitanya. Nothing else comes out of Lord Chaitanya's mouth. Everything is Krishna, 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 Krishna. Even while he was eating, Krishna, Krishna. But Tvisha Krishna means that although this is Krishna, he is not coming in his blackish form. Tvisha Krishna means not blackish. And therefore, the bodily complexion of Lord Chaitanya was golden, Gora. He is known as Gora Hari, Goranga, golden complexion. He's Krishna. He's in the category of Krishna. But that blackish color of Krishna is now hidden and overtaken. Why the golden yellow color? Because he's in the mood of Srimati Radharani. This is the clue to understanding Lord Chaitanya. He's Krishna, but completely in the mood, sentiment, emotions of Srimati Radharani, and thus he has even assumed her golden complexion. As we say, Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari. Tapta Kanchana, Srimati Radharani's complexion is molten gold, so also was Lord Chaitanya. Sango Pangastar Parshadam. So this incarnation of Lord Chaitanya, not incarnation, he's Krishna himself. But we say incarnation just for simple understanding. Sango Pangastar Parshadam. He comes with his associates. And with these associates, he performs his Sankirtan, because the external reason for Krishna appearing as Lord Chaitanya is to distribute the holy name, Sankirtan. Now look at this last two lines. Yagyai Sankirtana Prayaya Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. So in the age of Kali, the present age, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, only one yagya, only one sacrifice is actually recommended. Yagya means sacrifice. What is sacrifice? To please someone else. Ultimately, as we learn from Bhagavad Gita, one has to please Lord Vishnu. Otherwise, one's actions will entangle one. So if one wants to act without being entangled, he must perform yagya, sacrifice. So in the age of Kali, only one sacrifice is recommended. Here it is, Sankirtana Prayayar. Prayar means chiefly. The main sacrifice in the age of Kali is Sankirtan. Samkirtan, complete glorification. So that Sankirtan includes chanting on our beads every day, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, doing kirtan either in the temple or outside the temple, always glorifying Krishna, always describing Krishna, centered around the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now this last line I like too much. I'm always very, very happy when I remember this line. Yajanti hi sume dasaha. So, who will do this yajna of Sankirtan? What kind of person? Here it is. Sumedasaha. Who is a Sumedasaha? Sumedasaha means somebody who is very, very intelligent. So if someone takes up Sankirtan, that person is certified, according to this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, to be very intelligent, brilliant, genius. That is the person who takes up Sankirtan, who is very, very intelligent. Here is the Sanskrit, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So this first Siksastaka prayer is called by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati the seven-tongued. So there are 7 items in this shloka. First, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. What's the first installment benediction? You cleanse the mirror of the heart. You cleanse the mind. You cleanse the consciousness by chanting, by Sankirtan. The heart is like a mirror, Darpana. Cheto, consciousness, mind, heart. And Darpana, mirror. Marjanam, cleansing. Our hearts are dirty. That's why we cannot see God who dwells in our heart. And we can't see ourselves. Because the mirror of the mind, the mirror of the heart, is covered over by lifetimes of material sins and desires. So the mind is filthy. It needs to be cleaned. Therefore, the first installment benediction of chanting, you cleanse the heart. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Bhava means material existence. Mahadava Agni, the great Dava Agni, forest fire. So it is a analogy. Material existence is compared to a blazing forest fire. And Nirvapanam, chanting Hare Krishna, extinguishes the blazing forest fire. Now the next, third, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Shreya, ultimate benefit. There is prayas, immediate benefit, and then there's Shreya, ultimate benefit. So the third installment benediction, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. There is 2 phases to the moon, waxing and waning. So, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, chanting the Maha mantra is like the waxing phase of the moon. Waxing phase moons, night by night, the moon is getting more. We are in that phase. Next Sunday will be Gaur Purnima, the full moon. So we are in that waxing phase of the moon. So chanting Hare Krishna is the waxing moon of ultimate auspiciousness, ultimate good. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Here's the 4th benediction. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Vidya, transcendental knowledge. Vadhu, wife, life, Jivanam. This is the life and soul. Just like the wife is the heart and soul of the husband. So this chanting of Hare Krishna is the wife and the life, Jivanam, of transcendental knowledge. You may want to read so many transcendental or Vedic texts, but how will you understand? It's not a question of scholarship. Many scholars have studied Bhagavad Gita their whole lives, but they don't understand it. Why? Because they do not take up devotional service. They have not achieved the transcendental blessing to actually comprehend it. Just like it says in the Upanishad that if you have full faith in Guru, full faith in Krishna, then you will understand everything there is to know when you read the Vedic literatures. You have to have full faith in Guru and Krishna. So in the same way, without this chanting of the Maha Mantra, you will not be able to understand these high concepts that are taught in Gita and Bhagavatam. You need the blessings, Vidyavadu Jivanam, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, the next benediction. There is an ocean, Ambudhi, and it is increasing. We don't have that experience. The ocean increasing day by day by day. Otherwise, we would be flooded out. But there is a Ananda Ambudhi. There is an ocean of bliss. Yes, we know about the saltwater ocean, and in Bhagavatam, we have the oceans of ghee and liquor and yogurt and sweet water, different kinds of oceans in the universe. But here is another kind of ocean, the ocean of Ananda, bliss. And this bliss, transcendental bliss, when you perform Sankirtan, you're chanting, it increases. You're increasing your pleasure potency, Prabhupada once said when explaining this verse. You're increasing your pleasure potency by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Ananda, pleasure which has no end, and that's Ananda. Material pleasure has a beginning, middle, and end. But Ananda is different, no end. And it's increasing. Pratipadang Purnamrata Swadanang. Yes, at every step, Pratipadang. Purna Amrita Aswadanam. Purna, full, just like next Sunday is Purnima, full moon. So Purna Amrita. Amrita is very similar to Ananda. Amrita means deathless nectar, the elixir of immortality, Amrita. But this chanting of Hare Krishna is Purna Amrita. Not only is it deathless nectar, it's the full deathless nectar. And at every step, Aswadanam, you're tasting. With every step, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At every step, you are increasing and tasting the full nectar. And finally, the seventh benediction, Sarvatma Snapanam. It is the full bathing of the self. We take a bath in the morning, other times in the day. In the hot summer days, we refresh ourselves by taking a bath, or we go into the ocean, and we feel nice and fresh and relieved. So in the same way, this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is also a bathing of the soul, refreshes you. So in this way, the seven benefits of chanting the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I will end here and sign off by simply thanking New Dwarka Temple. I thank Swabasa Dasa and Archita Dasa for giving me this privilege to speak about Shakshastakam. I owe everything to you, so thank you very much. And I hope I get another opportunity to speak and glorify Krishna. I hope that my vituperation was somewhat pleasing. I hope that you learned something or appreciate. I just hope that I get your blessings. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyayevacha patitanang pavanebhyo Vaishnav ebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All glories to Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadesh, the most beautiful, most famous deities in the whole entire creation. All glories to the devotees of New Dwarka, who are also glorious. Hare Krishna. I